My name is Jamie Lewis, and I will be interviewing the U.S. Senatorial candidate, Congressman Cory Gardner. Welcome, Congressman.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your campaign?
You bet. I'm excited about the campaign for the United States Senate and certainly would be honored to have everyone's support. Over the past several months, beginning in March, we've been traveling the state talking about how we're going to create more opportunity and a brighter future for the people around Colorado. Talking about our Four Corners plan, talking about growing our economy, getting people back to work, creating jobs and opportunity. That includes everyone in this state, including people with disability, and work that we can do together. Talking about the economy, talking about energy independence. Colorado's on the leading edge of making energy independence, and of course that's very critical because without energy, with the reliance on overseas energy, it means higher cost of energy production, and that hurts people who are on fixed income or low income because it results in increasing energy prices, and I want to make sure that we are decreasing the cost of energy for families and people around the state. Talking about making education affordable and what we can do to protect our environment. So the 4 E's, the Four Corner Plan, energy, economy, environment, and education. People are excited about our campaign. We've recently been endorsed by the Denver Post, the Greeley Tribune, the Pueblo Chieftain, the Colorado Springs Gazette, and the Grand Junction Sentinel, who are all supporting our election to the United States Senate.
Congressman, a collaborative of disability organizations has provided you a plethora of information concerning the disability community. The information indicates that the 3 top issues concerning this community are employment, long-term supports, and Medicaid. Let's talk about job training and employment. In 2013, an individual making more than $1,040 would not be eligible for federal disability benefits. The fear of losing insurance and life-saving supports discourages people from searching for employment. It has created kind of like an atmosphere of forced poverty. Efforts to correct this problem through programs like Achieving Self-Support and Ticket to Work don't appear to be gaining traction. What policy changes or ideas do you have to get the unemployment rate down for persons with disabilities?
I think we recognize as members of the Colorado community that we have an obligation to assist those people who, through no fault of their own, may need some more help, may need some assistance. People who are struggling either with because they're down on their luck from an economic standpoint, or perhaps people who are living with a disability that we as a society need to make sure we're doing everything we can to help. And that's what we do, and that's why we have to find programs to make sure that they are working to encourage people to work, to find employment, because one of the most fulfilling parts of life and human happiness, of course, is the ability to work and to do things with your own 2 hands, your own 2 feet, to help move forward. Now, that can become a challenge for people in the community, disabled community, and that's why we have to make sure that people with a disability have opportunities to succeed, have opportunities to find jobs. So here are some things that we should do. Number 1, if there is a government program that is actually encouraging people because of the way it's constructed, or policies that are set in place that create some kind of a income testing system that discourages people from working, we need to take a look at that and make sure that we solve that policy difference, because I believe it's important to find work. We need to make sure that we are creating workforce education and development programs that are available to everyone, not just some. This past year, Congress passed for the first time in a very long time a great deal of reforms to its workforce development laws. We streamlined programs, we eliminated programs that were ineffective, but that can't just be for people living without disabilities, but they have to be for people with disabilities to make sure that they are able to be used across everyone in this country and this state. So those are the kinds of things that we have to find, the kind of policies that we should pursue. I've also supported and introduced legislation that would expand the Earned Income Tax Credit. The Earned Income Tax Credit is a provision that has lifted millions of people out of poverty. Those are the kinds of things that we can expand. My bill would eliminate waste, fraud, abuse within the program, and expanding that pool to the people who are truly deserving of it. And that would help everyone in this country lift out of poverty and make sure that we're creating good paying and good opportunities for self-supporting financially. But we can't make sure, we have to make sure that we have government programs that are facilitating people as they lift themselves up instead of penalizing for people who try to lift themselves up. That's something that we have to make sure that we as government are putting in place. That's good government when it encourages people to do the right thing, and we need policies to make.
Let's discuss long-term care. Health care is and will be a major influence on our lives. The needs of baby boomers, elderly, and the disabled for long-term supports will grow exponentially over the next 2 decades. What actions are you going to do to ensure that these long-term supports are funded and available to our growing population?
You know, again, I think we have to make sure that our social safety nets that we have promised that would be in place for people are and remain in place. That's why I have supported legislation that would strengthen and preserve our social safety nets for future generations. We have to make sure that we are not weakening the ability of those programs to last. If you look at some of the programs in place right now, we know in just a few short years that some of the trust funds are going to be bankrupt, upside down, and we have to make sure that those programs, our social safety nets, are in place and remain strong. So how can we do that? Number one, we can make sure that we are targeting help to those people who are truly of need, whether that is some kind of income testing, whether that's some kind of making sure that people who have more, or maybe people who have lower income are receiving more help. Those are the kinds of things that we can provide help with. But the other thing I think that's important is that we take advantage of the Medicare innovations, Medicaid innovations, making sure that we are taking into account some of the great ideas that people have out there. I served in the state legislature on a committee that was addressing the needs of many people who were living with disabilities and how we could make sure that we had and took advantage of home health care, how we could make sure that somebody's waivers that they were requesting that would lower the cost of care when it came to certain kinds of health care options and opportunities, but they required a waiver because somebody was thinking outside of the box, making sure that those waivers don't take 5 or more years to be approved. How do we take advantage of loved ones who wish to help out and make sure that they're providing care for somebody with a disability or somebody who's aging, in the aging population? What do we make sure that we are doing to allow government to be innovative and not letting government regulations or rules get in the way of innovation when they could do several things, when they could decrease cost and increase the quality of care? Innovations across policies, making sure that the states-based opportunities for insurance are strong, making sure that the federal government can repeal those parts of the law that may be a disincentive to state-based solutions or creating an increase in healthcare costs, as we see today under some items of the Affordable Care Act.
Let's continue with the subject of long-term care. Over the last few years, some have made an attempt to slow down the growing cost of Medicaid. One plan provided a proposal that would provide states with block grants. There are estimates that this change would save about $1 trillion over a 10-year period. The plan failed to provide for inflation, increasing health costs, or the size of the U.S. population. The budget numbers would be frozen at 2012 budget levels. The premise is that the plan would provide the same service for Medicaid recipients and still save $1 trillion or 30% of the program. Do you support proposals of this nature? And if not, what is your alternative plan?
I have supported efforts that would empower the states to take greater control over their Medicaid dollars, and I think that's important because Washington, D.C., as most people now recognize, it certainly doesn't have a monopoly on good ideas. There are many good ideas that are at the state level, at the local level, that could not only, as I mentioned in the last question, not only could increase the quality of care, but decrease the cost. And this question and the previous question have a lot in common, how we can take advantage of state solutions when it comes to providing in-home care, using loved ones, our families to provide that care. I remember in Longmont, Colorado, visiting a home that had truly innovative technologies in it, using technology to assist people living with disabilities, to make it easier for people to live on their own, to make it easier for people to be self-sustaining in terms of providing themselves ways to and from work, providing themselves in the household, making sure that they had the ability to cook for themselves. I mean, the technology that's available today in some of these smart houses and smart technologies that go along with them have been remarkable. And a lot of that has become the case because of innovations at the state level. Now we have to make sure that those state level innovations continue to receive the kind of adequate funding that they deserve. But those are just a few of the solutions that I believe would truly make a difference. You know, when I served in the state legislature again and continue to on the Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over some areas of healthcare law, Medicare, and Medicaid, we're always looking for ways to make sure that we can give more power to people who are closest to those who need the care. I think that's important, because when you try to say that Washington knows best, it creates a lot of challenges and problems. So those are some of the ideas that I believe would work.
Congressman Gardner, we want to thank you for your time, and I know these were three really explosive questions. They're pretty broad in nature. Do you have we'd have like time for 1 minute for a closing statement? Would you like to do that?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'd be honored to earn your support. I'd be honored to earn your support in the United States Senate. I believe if you look at what's happening around this country, around this state, as people have lost incomes over the past several years because of failed economic policies, as people are working harder than they ever have before and find themselves falling further and further behind, that we can do better, that we have a chance to move this country forward in terms of creating job opportunities, making sure that government works for the people, and making sure that we have a government that we can be proud of. One of the biggest challenges this nation faces is the fact that Washington no longer seems to solve problems. And over the past several years, we've witnessed that. And I believe that with the election of the United States Senate, that I will be part of a solution, that I will be part of a problem-solving effort that can truly make this country a better place. And I would certainly be honored to have your support.